Greetings, everyone. Well, today we've got some sci-fi and some fantasy. Got three sci-fi movies and two fantasy books. Yeah, so I figured we'd just smush them all together because they're always in the same section in the bookstore. Well, actually, no, they have a sci-fi section and a fantasy section. Anyway, I don't have enough of one or the other to give them their own updates, so I figure I might as well just smush them together and there you go. Most of us, I think, who like one also like at least something of the other. So, there we go. You like my Star Wars shirt? Huh? Yeah? What do you mean my parts are showing? The prequels had the best jokes. They were excellent comedy films. Honestly, I don't have any huge problems with the prequels. Well, maybe a few, but I don't want to get into it right now. Never mind. It's a Star Wars shirt. I wanted to wear a Star Wars shirt. So let's get into the update today on the Multimedia Chronicles. Welcome back. Okay, I might have a few issues with the prequels. Honestly, my biggest issue with the prequel is just how freaking clumsy the love story between Anakin and Padme was written. It was just so forced. Unintentional pun. The rest of it, honestly, I didn't really have any major issues with, but yeah, there was some stuff. Anyway, Star Wars. I picked up The Last Jedi. I completely missed it in theaters. Kept meaning to get out to see it. I was going to take Rosie to see it, but my ex beat me to it. So without being able to take Rosie with me, there just didn't seem to be much point. I hate going to movies alone. So, yeah. Anyway, finally picked up The Last Jedi. There we go. As is the trend with Disney these days. No 3D edition, but whatever. That's okay. And I know you're wanting to know, hey, Sean, what did you think of it? Did you hate it as much as we all did? Well, no, because actually I thought it was great. I'm not just saying that to piss you off. I legitimately enjoyed the film. I've looked at a lot of stuff about a lot of criticisms about the movie, and quite frankly, I think a lot of people just didn't get it. It's not complicated, but it is a little more challenging than your average Star Wars film from the past. I liked it. I liked it a lot, actually. I think there was a lot to like in it. Is it different from what we've had before? Yes. Is that a bad thing? I have to say no, because I think it's about time things got shaken up a little bit and weren't so status quo. I mean, for God's sake, everybody bitched and moaned and complained that The Force Awakens was just a carbon copy of A New Hope. So, okay, we'll do something different then. So they do something different, and then you complain about that too. Like, what do you people want? I just don't. It's like you don't even know what you want. Anyway, I'm going to do a rant video, probably titled something like, Why Are Star Wars Fans Such a Bunch of Whiny Crybabies? So look forward to that. Coming soon. Alright, now that half of you have tuned out, here's the rest of the update. Next up, I picked this one up, which I am positive I saw back when it was new. I remember jack shit about it, but wanted to pick it up again because, I mean, plus this beautiful anniversary Blu-ray set was like $7. I mean, it was dirt cheap from Mill Creek. We have You're the Hunter from the Future. And very nice slipcover with this, actually. Very rare for Mill Creek to do something like that. But they really went all out with this, actually. It's got... it even has a new audio commentary from Reb Brown, the star himself, and the original theatrical trailer, plus this beautiful slipcover with alternative artwork on it. Very cool. I think that's the European artwork, and then this one is the U.S. artwork. Something like that. Anyway... Yeah, so two different, poster art there. But very cool. I mean, I love this sort of low-budget sci-fi fantasy type stuff. And then next up, this is one that I first saw when it was, I guess, fairly new. I rented the VHS release, which the VHS release actually had the director's cut on it, and for the longest time, this was the only way you could see the director's cut. All the subsequent format releases, DVD and Blu-ray, were just the theatrical cut. Until Scream Factory stepped in and did the big deluxe collector's edition of The Lawnmower Man, yeah, with VR actually having finally reached a level that is comparable to what was dreamed of back when this came out. It's interesting to see this movie resurface in a collector's edition. So this contains both the theatrical and director's cut editions. It's a 2-disc edition, and if we take a look here, yeah, there we go. So same thing, reversible cover, new artwork on the slip cover, original poster art on the inside. It also has the new artwork on the flip side. Of course, as you know, I always flip them around for the collector's editions. Special features, Disc 1 theatrical cut. We have audio commentary with writer-director Brett Leonard and writer-producer Gimel Everett. Deleted scenes, behind-the-scenes footage, vintage interviews with the cast, edited animated sequences, and theatrical trailer. And then Disc 2, which is the director's cut, we have new Cyber God, Creating the Lawnmower Man, featuring interviews with Brett Leonard, actor Jeff Fahey, editor Alan Baumgarten, and more. Audio commentary with Brett Leonard and Gimel Everett, conceptual art, design sketches, behind-the-scenes and production stills, and storyboards. Now, to give you some idea, it's quite a difference in running time between the two. The theatrical cut is 108 minutes. The director's cut is 141 minutes. So that's a lot of additional footage. That's like, what, darn near a half hour of additional footage in the director's cut. So that's pretty cool. I've actually only ever seen the director's cut, so that's probably the only one I'll ever watch. But might give both of those commentaries a listen at some point. I'm assuming they're different since they got one for each of them. But yeah, I always really liked The Lawnmower Man. Actually, that movie made me a fan of Jeff Fahey for life. I think he's just a terrific actor, really, really talented, and I was really just blown away by his performance as Job in this, like just the transformation from, mentally challenged man to super genius, basically. I thought it was just an amazing transition for the character. And apparently it says it's based on a story by Stephen King, which technically it is, but apparently the story by Stephen King has nothing to do with virtual reality or anything like that. It's basically about a man who likes to get naked and roll around in lawnmower clippings or something like that. Anyway, it's very much not what the movie is. Yeah. Anyhow, that's it for the sci-fi movies. I guess really only one of them is technically sci-fi. This is more sci-fantasy. This is definitely sci-fantasy. And so now, the fantasy books. As you know, a while back I picked up the Del Rey collection of the original Robert E. Howard Conan stories. Robert E. Howard is quite a prolific writer. His writing career only lasted about 12 years before he actually took his own life. But in that 12 years, he wrote a ton of different stories. Conan, of course, was the big breakthrough one and the one that he wrote the most of. But he created a lot of other characters as well. He also did a lot of historical adventure stories. He did some that were all about boxing. And, he did like a whole bunch of different stuff. Anyway, there was a couple of other sort of big notable characters that he created that Del Rey basically published everything they could get their hands on as far as Robert E. Howard's stuff. There's still a little bit that I think have been picked up by other publishers, but as far as the main pantheon of characters go, they put together a pretty definitive collection. So first up, I picked up Kull, Exile of Atlantis, which many consider to be the precursor to Conan. A lot of the lore that later became the lore of Hyboria started here. And you'll see a lot of the seeds of ideas for Conan as they were being formed in the form of Kull. Kull is a very different, he's similar but different kind of character to Conan. He's a little more introspective, a little more philosophical, a little more brooding, I guess. But whereas Conan is a lot more direct in terms of his thoughts and actions. But yeah, an interesting sort of interesting side note, when L. Sprague de Camp was doing his editings and pastiches of Conan for the novels, the paperbacks that were published throughout the 70s. Some of the stories that he adapted into Conan stories were actually Kull stories that he kind of went in and modified and turned into Conan stories. But this presents, of course, the original Kull stories in their original form as Robert E. Howard originally wrote them. And as with all the other editions in this collection, there's a whole bunch of bonus stuff as well, like story fragments and story synopses and unfinished things and things like that. And so I think there's some alternate drafts in here as well. So very, very cool stuff. Definitely sure to please any Robert E. Howard fan. And then next up, I actually grabbed this one because I think it's going out of print. All I know is that on Amazon.ca, it's only available from third-party sellers for a ridiculous sum of money at the time of this recording. So I grabbed this from Amazon.com. It still had it in stock. We have the Savage Tales of Solomon Kane. So this is basically his story about the Puritan character of Solomon Kane, who's kind of wandering the earth and battling evil wherever he encounters it, often of a supernatural nature. So very cool. This was another one of the big breakout characters. There was recently a movie adaptation of Solomon Kane. He's inspired, I think, countless similar characters from other writers over the years. But again, this is the original Robert E. Howard stories in their original unaltered form, presented, I believe, in, much like the Conan ones, in the order that he wrote them. And as with the others, these do feature some very nice artwork throughout. Who does the artwork in this one? This is where is it here? It is Gary Gianni. Yeah, here we go. So we got a nice picture of Solomon Kane himself there, very brooding and serious. And then if we take a look at the and this one also has a lot of unfinished tales, story fragments, etc. And if we take a look at Kull here, this one is illustrated by Justin Sweet. So if we go here, yeah, there we go. So very nice artwork in these. All of these editions, they got some of the top fantasy artists out there to do just these wonderful pieces of artwork. Yeah, and this one there is so much illustration in this. Where we go in here? See if we can get that. Yeah, I mean, almost like every story is just full of illustrations and such. It's really quite nice. So I'm presently in the middle of reading the Conan books, actually, because of course those of you who watch me on Twitch will know that I've been recently, well, I guess here on YouTube as well, will know that I recently got back into playing Conan Exiles, which at the time of this recording, the official release date is actually next month for that. So that's going to be coming out officially very soon on PC, PS4, and Xbox One. So whatever your platform of choice, you will be able to jump into the world of Conan and see how well you can survive. So yeah, so there you go. So that is the update. So got some pretty cool stuff for ye old collections. Yeah, so I will do some kind of Star Wars video at some point, because I know a lot of you have been asking me for my thoughts on it, and, well, I think I gave you a little taste there. I'm not one of the ones that hated it. I'm actually one of the ones that love it, quite frankly. I'm not saying that to be contrarian. I'm saying that because I know what I like, and I like what I see in this. I'm actually happy to see that they're daring to take it in some different directions and shake things up a bit. I think it's exciting because now we don't know where it's going to go. It could go anywhere. And I like that. I like not knowing, you know? Oh, excuse me. It's getting late. Alrighty. Well, that is it for this update. Hope you enjoyed. And I'll see you next time in whatever is next. I have no idea. I filmed these out of sequence. Anyway, thanks for watching. Big thanks to my Patreon sponsors. And I'll see you next time. Until then, sayonara.